production quality on that one was good. That was
I
a,
was I was I was in like a spa. Like that was just, I mean, I was relaxing, I was becoming one with myself. Uh, that music, it's profound.
yeah. I think on the initial ones, I had like the default really tense one,
Mm.
which is a little bit sort of it doesn't really fit with the theme, is it? It's like we're going to talk about Nuxt.js and other things. It doesn't need to be like a cinematic thriller, you know.
That would be interesting.
We have a
Really
bunch
get
of
the sort of a voiceover. Now, coming soon in 5 minutes is your host, Dan Holdsworth. Yeah, that'd be
you could
fun.
definitely do that. You have the voice for it. We have a lot of people here. We have I can actually put them on screen, which is even more cinematic.
Mm.
Taha, I'm guessing they want me to create a roadmap to become a meme author. Well, you
Is
can
that a thing
actually.
you can become? So I didn't know you could become. Maybe like, or are you? You are a meme author, I guess. I can only dream.
Hey, I mean, one that creates memes is a meme author. So it's like the second you receive 1 penny for your development work, you are a professional developer, right? You
Yeah.
are a professional in that thing. So yeah, sure, I will definitely not do that. Uh, but you could potentially.
So sorry, but you have to receive a penny for it. So basically, so I mean, I'm totally a meme consumer. So I assume
Mhm.
someone else creates the meme. We can only dream of being that person. But someone else, they have to not only create the meme, but also be paid for it, which I think,
Well,
hmm.
did you not see the individual from Product Hunt? So there's an individual from Product Hunt. I believe the entire X interaction was a massive marketing play, but essentially it was when the CTO of Product Hunt claimed they didn't know who Peter Levels was.
Ah, yes,
You
yes, I
saw that.
remember that. Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely a marketing ploy, by the way. There's no way he didn't know at all.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But this individual that called the person out left to create a meme agency,
Okay. A
and
meme agency.
yeah, and they are seemingly being paid to do this by clients. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
That
very big.
is slightly worrying.
Yeah, but that's the way marketing is going, isn't it? Like, look at Superbase and any other tech brand. Really, they're all doing it. They all sprinkle in the odd meme. We have a few people. Hello, Dan and Sam. This is from my Twitter, my Twitch. People saying this is their kind of topic. That is great. Um, okay, here we go. I was just joking. That's the spirit. Okay, we're gonna make it.
This was the person who wanted to become a meme author. So they're saying they were
Yes.
just joking. They weren't seriously going to become a meme author, which I feel that was what I assumed that. Like I don't know, but thank you for clarifying that.
Yes. Lots of hellos happening. So, just to let people know in the audience who have seen this before, this is technically episode 9 of what we're referring to as my roadmap. Okay. But this one's going to be slightly different. I do have a bunch of questions in a Git gist that I have shared with Mr. Rowe, and we will answer them and discuss the answers as we go. And when it hits 5 p.m., I will end stream and go pick up my daughter from nursery because otherwise I'll get in a lot of trouble. So let's crack on. First of all, Dan or Daniel?
Daniel, I answered to both.
Hmm. I don't know if you're like me. Daniel is in the early 90s, it was the most popular British name, by the way. It was the number one.
Hmm.
So if our parents opened a baby name book and went to popular, they picked the first one, by the way. Just letting you know
I
that.
see. That's
Yeah,
disappointing.
it is. But also, in my life, I don't know about yours, it's been very interchangeable. So I was Daniel as a boy.
Hmm.
I was then Danny from secondary school, maybe all the way until maybe 27.
Okay.
Then I matured into Dan, which is like a cool professional, you know. And now I'm Dan.
Cool.
Yeah, my fiance forced it on me. She didn't like Danny, so she literally named me Dan, and that's what I am now, basically.
I like how you've spun that into being a cool professional. And in fact, it is basically the way that your relationship has survived.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So
Okay.
Danny gives very like Danny the champion of the world vibes to me. Like I don't know if that was that's what I hear when you say Danny.
Yeah, Danny's the fun teen, isn't it?
Hmm.
It doesn't really extend into your 30s. I don't feel.
Do developers still exist in their 30s? From Twitter, as far as I can tell, everyone is very worried when they turn 25 because they're about to age out of the software development industry.
Oh, I'm gonna
I don't believe this
assume
at all, but
I'm gonna assume, given your experience, you are above 30.
I am, I am indeed, exactly. So
Okay, good.
let's hope I
Good.
disagree with this. Let's hope
Yeah,
this
as am
isn't
I.
true.
Okay, Daniel, Mr. Rowe, let us start for those that do not know who you are, that have potentially been living under a rock. Who are you and what do you do?
That okay? I existential. Who am I? So I am a full-time open source developer. I'm living in Scotland, in Edinburgh. I lead the core team building a framework for building web apps called Nuxt. It's in the Vue ecosystem, and we rebuilt it from scratch a couple of years ago. And a lot of the stuff that we produced to do that is in the UnJS organization, which is much wider than just Vue, and that's being picked up by other orgs too. And I have some other open source projects I'm also spending time building. That's me.
Hey, if you want to, we can revisit those other projects at the end if you want. But I have explored a few of your projects, uh, the ones that you've
Have you?
listed. Yeah, you list like a load of random, like just a
Random
bunch of.
chaff in your bio that sort of irrelevant stuff. Okay, so you click the links, is what you mean?
I clicked all the links. Yeah. I clicked all the
Okay,
links.
yeah.
They're fun. Let me. There was one that I. Let me go here. Also, I really love your disregard for the Twitter check. The fact that you'll just change your name to a Halloween themed name, which will like put you in Twitter X dungeon for a while, the check dungeon. I
As
big
far as I'm
respect.
concerned, that is a bonus. Like that's it's not that I'm losing out on something. I would change my name more frequently if I could be bothered.
Well, we have the first commit, very fun. My first commit was not what I thought it would be. I thought my
Hmm.
first commit would be something really boring, but it was a professional commit. It was a some sort of answerable playbook. Yeah, it was a professional one, not some random hello world HTML file. So that was interesting. We have people appreciating your existence, which is great. Daniel is an amazing person and does both amazing open source software work as well as charity for cancer care, if I recall correctly. Is this true?
Well, I think that sounds very active and ongoing, which is maybe not the case. But what I did do earlier this year, there was a challenge to raise money for cancer research. And it was basically involving doing press ups. And there was a target of, I think, how many was it? I'm not, uh, I'm not sure actually.
A lot,
I think
clearly.
it was 30 press ups a day, something like that. And no, 100 press ups a day, which I exceeded. I think I got to 200. Which was fun. And the great thing was, it wasn't just me doing it, but lots of other people started doing the same, like on Twitter and also and basically. So I would post our sort of press ups for the day, and anyway, it was great. Managed to raise quite a bit of money for cancer research, which was good.
Which is always good because that is the war that we are hopefully going to win one day. So every penny helps. Somebody said, "Looking good, Dan." I'm going to assume they mean me, and I'm going to assume they're not. I'm going to assume they're not looking at my Fat Thor cosplay that I currently have going on.
I think you look incredible. Like, can I just say, I really appreciate your hair. Like, I mean, it is the majority thing that I can see in frame, but it is phenomenal, right? Like, you could totally be a Viking, and Thor. Yes, you could be Thor. I don't know why you added fat in. That's not sort of in frame at all.
Have you seen, which one is it? It's the one after Thanos clicks. It's the one where he's very depressed, blames himself, and he puts on a lot of weight.
I do. I know that. I know the scene. But no, I think you could pull, unless it's that you're wearing a jumper or something like that.
Yeah,
but like
you
can just pull off Thor. I don't think you need to make it sort of Thor at his, nadir.
Okay, whoever's on my Twitch, clip that, please. Get that saved permanently forever and pinned everywhere. Okay, enough of flattering me, as much as I love it. Let's go into the questions then, which will lead this onwards. So, our ice is broken, I'd like to think, but we'll go through the icebreaker questions anyway, because they're always fun to get people's answers to these questions. Expand the pods to 4 Dans when. So this is some lore behind this. There's an individual called Sunsettler on X, and he is currently going around doing interviews with all the anonymous people on Twitter. All these extremely talented developers that are masked behind profile pictures that aren't them. I'm sure you know of the people.
Well, I think the point is that I couldn't possibly know.
True, very true. We did a podcast of 4 Dans. I was one of the Dans, and you could be the fourth Dan.
Could I? I'm not very anonymous though. People have pointed this out to me. I'm probably at my most anonymous at the moment because I'm Daniel Woo. but I think I'm not very anonymous. I missed out on that opportunity. I could have done it. I could have had my anime profile pic. I could have been the anonymous. That would have been very cool. Instead,
it is. But I backed out of that. I was in that world, and I have gone back to my real profile picture, albeit pixelated. Yeah. Just because doors get opened, right, when you're not anonymous. So anyway, let us hit this with the first extremely important question. Daniel, what is your preferred favorite food of choice?
It's so difficult. I would say a form of curry, probably lamb dansak, is a favorite of mine. But I could pick so many other options. Like good risotto, I'd be up for that. I'd be up for some kind of macaroni and cheese as well. Like there's so many good options.
There is. I actually walked past in Tesco's earlier. On the discounted shelf, the best shelf, I walked past a microwave beef stroganoff, and I nearly had it for my lunch. Very close.
Yeah.
Yes, very close. Okay, favorite superhero.
I think Iron Man. I guess that's probably going to be true for a lot of. So I know you wanted me to say Thor, right? Thor is a very cool superhero. I mean no disrespect, but Iron Man is like there's something that I identify with Iron Man. I sort of the tinkering and the building your own stuff. But I would be lying if I said that was my favorite. The thing I like most about Iron Man is his sense of humor. Like absolutely, I just find him so funny. So that's what I pick Iron Man.
It's interesting. You said at the start of that answer that it would be like an obvious one because of the tinkering, right? A lot of developers have said Batman.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I don't really know why. I think a lot of them said the whole like. One person said because they came from nothing, and I was like, pretty sure that's the opposite of his origin story. Actually, exactly. I'm pretty sure he's a billionaire. Okay, so Iron Man himself doesn't have any superpowers, right? He's just augmented with his extreme knowledge. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I would like to be able to be instantly anywhere that I want to be.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's the de facto. I think that is the de facto best answer, I think.
So I think, well, one, for a start, it includes flying, right? Because what is flying except not falling to the ground, but remaining in a similar like position? So I think I think I could probably bend the rules of superpowers to basically get flying for free. And I promise I haven't thought about this in advance, uh, but no, the key thing I think, yeah, just imagine there instantly. It'd be so nice. You could like meet up with people without any of the issues of transatlantic travel. You could just have an experience without any sort of cost of acquisition. I think that would be a nice.
Definitely not going into bank vaults though. Definitely not.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, just sort of it would sort out your any financial issues you might have. If you were ever on the run from the law, it would be relatively straightforward to sort of not end up in prison. So,
if you could teleport anywhere, though, I feel like you would have transcended the need for a mortgage and groceries and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, great answer. Okay, slightly less, a bit more down to earth now. I don't know if you're a book reader, but if you are, do you have a book you've recently read that was so good you would happily recommend it?
So I am a book reader, but that doesn't mean that I always do read books because I often get sort of caught up in other things. But conveniently, it was summer recently, and I had a chance to actually reread some stuff. And I reread the Dresden Files, which are phenomenal, really easy read, quite a lot of books, like 16 or 17. And they have the sort of main character is this sort of detective. He's a wizard, but he's a sort of noir, sort of dark series. It's written in first person narration. He's got a great voice. Again, I love the humor. And yeah, it's great. So Jim Butcher, Dresden Files, recommend that stuff. I can eat it up.
Yeah, I was about to say I have been to Dresden. Then you mentioned Wizard.
Yeah,
Didn't
not
the Dresden that I've been to.
No, this Dresden lives in Chicago, and I think the feel is just generally quite different from the Dresden in
in Germany. Yeah, sounds like it. Okay, you are, and I will tie this into two things. Your extremely active GitHub contribution chart. It is.
that was our sort of first interaction, or like our second interaction.
It was our second. The first one was my stream when I was looking at your YouTube channel. Yes.
I got a notification, and then I think I was browsing Twitter, and then I saw a screenshot of my, like, it was your live stream, but I could see like the still was of me or something like that. It was a very strange experience. I was like, click in. What's going on right now? And it was very nice. So I was sitting in I was like in an airport lounge or something, so I couldn't chat in more detail. But it was really nice.
Yeah, the person that just dropped in was one of my Twitch regulars, Al's Journey. They were there. They were present at the time when I was doing a world tour of good developer content creators, and you were right there. But my question here is, you're, from the outside looking in, extremely productive. I can't imagine that you feel like being extremely productive all the time. So what is your go-to booster productivity hack for when you don't feel like doing what you need to do?
Well, I mean, I think I don't necessarily I don't necessarily make myself. I think it's a bit of a mix. So one is I'm not always productive. Two, I don't think trying to become like productivity. I don't know how got a target or goal that is. I think if I don't feel productive, the aim isn't to make myself more productive. The aim is to sort of fix or address whatever is making me not productive. Which it might just be that I'm feeling sad or discouraged or something like that. And so the aim isn't like, how do I quickly get back to being productive again, to be a good cog in the machine, but like, what do I need in terms of self-care? Like, what do I need to do? And I think often for me, the things that are that solve those sorts of issues are sleep. Like, a nap is not a bad thing. Obviously coffee is pretty good too. Okay, if I'm really upset about something, then actually just having a good shout, or writing a really angry letter or something like that I don't send, but that could be quite useful. Doing something physical, I find is really helpful, like a bike ride, or going bouldering or something like that. Gives you a chance to sort of connect, not just with your mind, but with other bits of yourself. I think those sorts of things are quite useful. I mean, and if it's not just about fixing when you feel um, when you feel unproductive, I think there are also lots of things that productivity. So I think sometimes we feel unproductive when we have like friction. So there's constantly stuff getting in the way. I think you can automate a lot of that. So one thing I've started doing recently is like writing a little CLI for me. So I've got a little CLI, and I can do stuff. And if I ever find I'm doing this a lot, or I'm interacting with this website and it's taking time, and I have to do the same set of clicks over and over again, it takes 5 minutes to write something to automate it, and now I don't have to do that again. And that both makes you more productive and also reduces your friction, improves your quality of life. So that's quite a nice thing to do. But that wasn't really what you were asking. But I think there's lots of stuff you can do. But I think the key thing is productivity isn't the aim. Like, being, happy, flourishing, that's more the aim. And I think productivity comes out of it when you're feeling, in your lane, moisturized.
You started to answer that as in like, oh, I don't really have much to add here, and then you went on to add a very, very good answer of productivity is basically a consequence of caring for yourself, which was very good. So I have some Dan Roe specific questions, and you've seen these, but I don't truly know the answer to this. You live in Scotland, and I know some Scottish people that speak the King's English very, very well. Are you a Scotsman or an Englishman?
No.
No, neither. You're Northern Irish.
I'm not Northern Irish now.
Huh.
Do you want to do 20 questions? I don't know, 20 guesses. What's the I think you've 3 so far. I think surely you'll be able to guess.
Is it in the United Kingdom at least?
That's a bit cheeky, but
so it's Irish.
No.
Well, Welsh.
No.
Well, I've covered all of them. So you're not actually. Oh dear.
I am
South African?
I am now British. I now have a British passport, but I'm not sure if you naturalize, if you become British, I'm not sure you become English or Scottish or any, like, you remain a sort of amorphous British, right?
Well, this is actually even better than my question was, because my initial question was, how do you feel when you're mistaken? Well, how do you feel when you're mistaken as an Englishman? Because from people, or if you are, because people from the outside that are not from English-speaking countries might mistake you for a very well-spoken Englishman.
They do often. Yes, I am often mistaken for. You're quite right.
Yes. So where is Daniel Roe from then?
So I'm very disappointed we didn't take another 15 guesses. I'm from the US originally, just outside Washington DC. So,
really?
Yep.
Wow. So this is even more striking as a statesman being mistaken for an Englishman.
Yeah, well, I guess we sort of, I mean, we sort of, those of us in the US, we sort of often people trace their ancestry back to things. So I don't think it would surprise any American to be mistaken for, are you Irish? Yes, actually, my great 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 grandfather was Irish. I'm not surprised you'd know that straight away.
Huh. Wow, I learned something very good there. That's very good. What a little bit of trivia about Daniel Roe. Okay, the next question that I have, which a lot of people here might be asking. Let's pretend nobody knows what Nuxt is. Especially, let's pretend that nobody knows what Nuxt Labs is, because Nuxt Labs is the entity at the top, right?
Well, so this is not exactly. Um, so yes, so Nuxt is a framework, an open source framework, and it was created not by me, but by Sebastian and Alexander Chopin, uh, who are two brothers from France, I believe, who grew up in the Pyrenees. Hence the mountains in the logo of Nuxt. And it was started about the same time as Next.js was. So what Next.js did for React, Nuxt did for Vue, which was initially, I think, manage a very complicated Webpack configuration and sort of add server rendering capabilities. So that's what both frameworks did. And very quickly they moved into the place of conventions like having file-based routing, which they pioneered, and other things like that. And since we've diverged, so we do similar things because we're solving similar problems for developers, but not really with reference to each other explicitly. And down the line, Sebastian and Alex started a company, which is now called Nuxt Labs, but it went through a few different names. And the idea was that they would build on top of Nuxt to build products and services that would enable them to fund the ecosystem. So they raised some money for that, and they have a few products, stuff like there's a Git-based CMS called Nuxt Studio, and there's a premium theme for Nuxt called Nuxt UI Pro, and there is a layer, an admin layer on top of Cloudflare called Nuxt Hub for people to deploy their Nuxt sites. But they don't control Nuxt, the framework. So what happened was when they wanted to spend time building Nuxt Labs, they first asked Puya to lead the Nuxt team, Puya Parsa, who's now leading Node.js development with Nitro, and who was not part of Nuxt Labs. And subsequently, after Puya, I took over the helm of the Nuxt team. So I am sponsored by Nuxt Labs, as are many other developers in the Vue and Nuxt ecosystems, which is great. I'm very grateful for it. But it's not like it's on top or directing. It's more like it's hopefully a beneficial part of the ecosystem.
So I want to follow on that. You used very specific words there. You mentioned that you and other developers are sponsored by them. Now, you have an article that covers how you, as an open source developer, are funded. I don't suppose that you could. I don't want to say TLDR the article because that's usually like a sentence. I don't suppose you could like slightly extended TLDR that article for those that are watching. Like how are you funded as an open source maintainer?
So I am. So previously, I had a small software as a service startup, and before that, a small creative agency. So about 10 of us doing various things. And when I closed that down, I was already on the core team by that time. Sebastian said, "Hey, can we sponsor you to work full time on Nuxt?" And that was really the start of my sort of paid open source contribution history. I'm not. I much prefer. So I'm not employed by anyone. And I much prefer to talk about it in terms of donations. So Nuxt Labs and also other companies and also other individuals sponsor me. And as far as I'm concerned, those are gifts. So people give me money, and I give back work and help. But it's not quid pro quo. It's not in exchange, because otherwise my sort of hourly rate would probably be a bit lower than I would normally aim for. And it would be very transactional. Whereas the whole thing for me is that this isn't transactional. So whether I help somebody or not isn't anything to do with if they've given me money or not. Like that's obviously it's wonderful when people do, and I really do receive it as a gift, and I am very grateful. But there's no idea that that's why I help, because I also that would create that, and I've seen it do terrible things to people where someone donates you know relatively small amount towards a developer salary, and then they sort of think that that's going to buy them access to time and development priorities. And I don't think that's healthy for anyone. Open source is not, from my point of view, is not about that. It's not about micropayments. It's about vision and building something together and giving in whatever way we can, which is, it can be time, it can be attention, it can be ideas, lots of currencies.
I like that. I've never really heard that ideology before. It's a unique take that you've presented, in the fact that you specifically don't want it to be transactional, because that means that I have tendered you some currency and you will give me work back for that.
Oh, it would be terrible. Can you just imagine how awful it would be to have 100 bosses, just for one moment? 100 different people who all feel they have a claim on your time. That would be, I think a lot of people wouldn't like that. And I think it's really unhelpful, because you're never going to be able to answer or do for 100 people what you would want to do. So you're always letting somebody down. You feel like you're getting money that you don't deserve. At the same time, you might feel like you're not getting enough money for what you do. So it just breeds a lot of emotions that shouldn't really, that are not good for you. If I mean, I do what I do because I love to do it. If I didn't love to do it, I wouldn't do it. I would probably be better paid if I worked for a company. That would be great. I would be fine. I do what I do because I enjoy it. And I don't want to open the door to any of those other negative emotions or motivations, because I think that would be a first step down a very dark path. You see it sometimes. You see open source contributors who feel very, very bitter. And when you treat contribution and donation for contribution as a payment, then you also start attaching your value to it. And we do that anyway. It's not totally wrong. I think obviously your value is much more than that. But if you were looking to your employer and that they don't give you a raise, but they give everyone else a raise, they're making a statement about your value to them. And so we start attributing value to that. Whereas in open source, if open source contributors, we attach our value, how we feel we're doing, and how good we are to donations, then one, it's totally outside our control. You can't negotiate, and when things are outside your control, that is very bad for your mental health, particularly when you're attaching your own value to it. Two, the actual things that cause people to donate are not related to your values. So they're to do with, I could get into that, but it's not. And basically, people end up very bitter, can end up very bitter, or very burnt out, very discouraged, because they feel like they've done so much, and why is that not being appreciated? Or because they feel like, and which is often true, by the way, people often are not paid or supported in anything relating to the value that they offer to the ecosystem or to web development, like at any level. And so if you're attaching your value to that, you can end up in a very dark place. Even people who are incredibly well known and people would think of them as heroes, but can end up really totally destroyed. So I feel very strongly that for me, it's not just something that I believe in, it's also something I think is important. That for me, open source is about giving. It's a gift. It's a gift economy. It's free will gift. So let's get rid of obligation and enjoy. Because don't you think when someone gives you a gift, it's like one of the purest pleasures? Or when you give someone a gift, it's also an amazing pleasure. Like look at their face when they open it.
I am one of them people that are very awkward at birthday and Christmas, even more so at birthday because people are giving me things. My Christmas pleasure is seeing the face of my children and my partner and my parents when I give them a gift.
Yeah.
Right. I do not. I'm always like I try not to look at my pile until I'm like made to open something. It's very difficult.
But I mean, and that sort of pure pleasure, it's so nice, isn't it? And if they sort of came back to you and were like, hey dad, what do I have to do to earn this gift? Um, that it would ruin it for you, wouldn't it? Like the whole thing about gift, like it totally changes like the relationship, and obviously, yeah, I think it makes for something which can also be more genuine.
I want to mention something quickly before we move on to other things. I noticed in the last like 48 hours, people have been Vercel, have been doing their $2,000 donations, their gifts to contributors.
I didn't get one. They didn't send it to me. That's obviously that was a deep disappointment to me today.
Well, I don't know if you're. That's the thing, isn't it? Because does that not just also relate to everything that you just spoke about? In like, they're giving what they're doing is, I think we're in the same camp as it's good, because obviously they don't expect these people to then work for them, right? They're just going, we recognize what you're doing, but what about the ones they haven't? That's also like a whole can of worms, right?
I mean, there's no good answer to that. In that,
no, there's not. No.
Like, I mean, I see it as I thought it was a lovely thing to do, and really positive. And I think but I think you do have to, as there are some things that can kill your joy as a open source developer, and one is you look at someone who's more popular and has more sponsors, and you think, you might not be you might not feel negative about them, but you're just thinking like, what is this meaning about me? Or you see, I think Microsoft also recently did a sort of an airdrop of sort of a sponsorship to lots of developers. And again, all the posts of people saying thank you. And then you think, I wasn't significant enough to be on that list. So of course you can do that. Any good thing that happens to anyone else, you can always turn it into a negative. But you could also do that about anything else in life. Like when something else happens and it doesn't happen to you, someone got an award and you didn't get the award, and someone is highlighted on Twitter as being a great example, and you weren't highlighted. Like you could pick anything, and I think you do just have to say, when those things happen, you have to enjoy it, like share the joy with the other person, feel it for them, not read anything into it about yourself. Try and avoid bitterness. Those are just general life hacks, advice. I don't think particularly to do with sponsorship. I just thought it was a lovely thing for Vercel to do.
Really nice. Definitely. Especially, I saw that. I don't know if you know Andras, who's developing Coolify.
Yeah.
He was a recipient, which is really, really nice, because he's also like very much like you. He's very much doing it for the love of the game. So it's nice to see them rewarded. Anyway, we have 15 minutes, so I don't want to. we could talk probably for like a good 8-hour workday on the stream, but I do have other things I need to ask you. So let's hit career advice now. And I know your career was from LinkedIn, actually. Let's touch on that slightly, because I don't know if you have started your experience listing late or if you did start freelancing.
So do you mean because I don't have very much on LinkedIn?
Well, your earliest was freelancing.
My earliest was freelancing when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, my story in general is that when I was a kid, a friend of our family started working, I think, for Microsoft. And I think this was related to my decision. But basically, I thought Visual Basic would be a very cool thing to learn. So I bought a book with some birthday money, Teach Yourself Visual Basic in 30 Days. And I taught myself Visual Basic. And so just sort of played around on it, built some stuff on the computer. Loved the fact that I could do that. And then I guess I tinkered for years. It wasn't. I studied lots of other things. I studied, maths and Latin, and I did lots of debate and writing and lots of things. Like I liked lots of different things. I went to university and I studied law. And then actually I took a very different turn. I worked for a church. I then went back to full-time education, got a degree in theology, and became a vicar for 4 years. I was a vicar up in Hull, in York, and then I wanted to bring my parents across from the States, and so we started a company together, a creative agency, and I sort of brought them across. We did some very cool stuff in County Durham, and then pivoted into software as a service. And so basically, I came into tech totally from the back door. So I've never been employed in tech. I've only employed other people. I very self-taught. So I didn't do a degree in computer science or anything like that. Everything I know, I've sort of figured out by, bashing myself over the head with a large rock type thing. And yeah, so it's, but yes, I did when I was a kid and 13 or something like that. I built a website and I was paid for it. So I definitely count that as professional web development.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I didn't learn JavaScript until like 2017 or 2018. So
these stories are honestly like, I feel so many people, and we don't have to dive into this topic, but so many people are concerned with degrees and qualifications, and that may be true in some areas to get your foot in, but I never, I took the shortcut and just went in the army for 12 years. I never got a degree or anything. I didn't go to college. I left at the end of GCSEs. The summer holidays at the end of GCSEs, I joined the army afterwards. That was it. And then learned things and then became whatever I am today. But
yeah,
I think stories like yours, especially when you see somebody who is, for all intents and purposes, at the top.
Is that what I am?
Yeah, you are. You are at the top. You're at the top. There's no denying you're at the top. And you didn't come from nothing, but you came from nothing in terms of structured education on software development, right? And it's important to see people like you, I think. And also, complete tangent. Both my parents are from York. I wouldn't consider myself northern, but I guess I do have like Yorkshire tea coursing through my veins, technically.
Yeah.
The York Minster. You mentioned that you are a vicar. Isn't it an absolute feat of art?
It is gorgeous. Everyone should see it. Like, just go in there and look at like the rose window. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, the York City Football Club are called. My dad's obsessed with them, no matter how bad they are. The Minster men. The York
everything.
Minster. Yeah.
Everything in York is Minster. Like, there's Minster fire alarms. There's like Minster Minster coffee. There'll be Minster the Minster furniture, Minster curtains. I mean, just go on Google Maps and search Minster, and you will be astounded for a name that also doesn't mean a lot outside the ecosystem, like outside the UK, certainly. Like in the UK, we have a number of Minsters, but like in the US, Minster would be a totally unknown word. And you go to York, and like there are hundreds of Minster related things.
Yeah, I still think York is, despite its incredible history, it is a very underrated part of the UK.
Yeah,
like just being able to walk around the walls and everything. Like it is a classic Viking hardened city. Incredible. A lot of love for York. Anyway, again, we could talk forever. So you are self-taught, and you have risen the ranks. You've been a CEO. I assume a self-appointed CEO, but a CEO, a CTO, you're now the head of the core team at Nuxt. What skills, if somebody in the chat right now went, Daniel Roe, what skills should I focus on as an aspiring software engineer? If you had to pick a very small amount of skills that were very key, what do you think they would be, like in 2024?
So one would be problem solving. So the ability to figure something out yourself without necessarily needing to, the more you can figure out yourself, the better. So I think that is really, I think that's a very, very good skill to have. I also think maybe curiosity. So, or trying to see things in light of a bigger picture is maybe more that. But I think that's one of the things that really distinguishes a junior developer from a more senior developer. The junior developer might be saying, okay, how do I build this? But the more senior developer will be saying, well, why do you want it to be built? Because the answer to that question really, really changes what you do. So it's not the what that you do, it's the why that really can change what you do or how you do it. And in general, I think asking questions rather than giving answers is a very useful thing. Imagine someone asks you something. The best thing that you can do is not think, isn't give a great answer. The best thing that you can do if someone asks you a question is to ask them a question back, because it will, particularly if it's a tricky question, because the odds are that you've maybe misunderstood it or you need to learn more about them before you can even begin to answer the question. And I think that's true with almost anything that you do. Someone says, okay, we need this feature. The best thing that you can do isn't give the feature, it's to ask more questions. And again, trying to see things in light of a business perspective, or asking how what you do brings value, and trying to optimize for the value rather than what sometimes people think we're optimizing for, which is like closing the ticket or something like that. So I think that is a very, very those are useful things to be able to do. And I think also the ability to pick up something new. So learning new things is basically the thing that software developers are paid for, the ability to learn new things. And it's one reason why anyone who is a good software developer never needs to worry about their career in the future, because adapting to change is basically the job description. So I would basically say try and learn new things as well. That's probably a useful, not because the thing that you learn will get you a job, but because the skill of learning things is what will get you the job or make you more relevant in the future.
I like the I can hear what I assume is children.
Yes, you can.
I also have my own of those, and the question to a question is also a great parenting hack. I do it all the time to them. If they ask a question, it's like, well, why do you think that is? Or, yeah, parenting. Huh, that is a whole another topic. If only we were as good at that as if that was as simple as software engineering. Okay, let's. I'm going to ask you a question that I assume your default answer is going to be yes, it's extremely important. But open source contribution as a generic, let's say we can just create a generic software engineer who will work at generic companies and have a generic career. Do you think that individual contributing to open source at some point in their career is an important thing for them?
I think open source brings a number of benefits. So, I mean, yes. I think one, as someone who's hiring, it gives me a very clear ability to see somebody working in producing something in a context that isn't just like a demo project, which I might have cloned from a tutorial. So it's solving a real problem. It's being involved in a real project. It's working with other people. It's collaborating. So it's a really, really good set of signals for hiring someone. I think second, it is a really good way of learning things. So contributing is you basically initially start by doing something bad and you figure out and you learn a project and you do something better, and also the whole process of if you're fixing a bug or you're having or writing better docs, you're having to figure out how to do it. So you're demonstrating problem solving. So there are lots and lots of good things for you and lots of good signals to other people. It's not important in that there are other ways of doing those things as well. So it's not like open source contribution is a necessary piece of the puzzle, one of the crucial infinity stones you need. It is a good tool that will give you benefits and rewards as a developer. But I wouldn't necessarily, and when I say it's not an infinity stone, I also mean it's better if someone doesn't try and seek it for its own sake. Because sometimes people think like, I need to have open source contribution. So any contribution will do. I'm just going to go and try and find a project that I have nothing to do with and have never used, try and pick an issue and solve it. That will be very frustrating for you for lots of reasons. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't be appreciated, but it will be a very frustrating experience. And you don't have to do open source contribution. It gives you a lot. It is really beneficial to the project. They will be very grateful. But it's one path to gain those skills.
Yeah. Also, for a maintainer, it can also be the equivalent of them just like kicking open the door, throwing down some letters, and then leaving. It's like,
which
welcome,
is,
by the way.
Which is if that's how someone, if they basically like, okay, I've ticked the box now, so I don't. But if someone is actually using the project, then they won't feel that way. Someone who's using the project, then they want the fix to land because it affects them, or the cool feature that they've built, they want it to land because they want to be able to use it. So it really changes your investment in the project, and also in the PR and contribution, if it's something that you use. Not to mention, you will also have a better idea of how to test it. You'll have a better idea of what the real solution should be. Your fix is likely to be better. I don't know. There are a lot of things there, and also a lot of the reward is people. So when you're contributing to open source and you are doing that in a consistent way with the same group of people, you're in an ecosystem or community together. That's the part of the fun thing. Now you're chatting on Discord. Now you're getting to know people. Now you're at a conference together and you recognize them by their, GitHub profile pictures, as long as that's not an anime profile picture. Like the people are part of the reason why you do it. And so if you're just randomly contributing to open source repos because you need a tick box, you're losing out. Like, hey,
Nate, the ex man himself, Nate, has dropped in. Unfortunately, Nate, you have joined right at the back end of this, but you can definitely catch it afterwards. So, unfortunately, we have hit the end. I have a young child currently existing in a nursery, and I need to rescue her from that experience. Despite paying a significant amount of money for it, but that's again a whole other topic. You mentioned, I asked you about important skills for new software engineers, not including what you've already answered. Do you have any final words for people that are trying to get into software engineering and they might feel a little bit lost or something? Do you have any encouraging words as Daniel Roe from Nuxt.js?
I think that software engineering, web development is basically magic. And it's one of the most powerful and rewarding things you can do because you can make things happen just purely out of your mind. If you can imagine it, it's possible to do it, and you have the ability to do it. Like it can be tricky or tough when you're starting out or learning stuff, but it is totally worth it. And I would absolutely sort of reiterate that.
Perfect. And that is I'm currently trying to convince my partner to career change from being a PE teacher to being a software engineer. And that was actually I do not mean to steal the thunder from your great explanation. I repeated almost the same thing to her. We were standing
it's
right
true
here.
though, right?
Yeah, we were standing right here. I was about to brush my teeth and I was like, anything that is in your mind, you can create. It is literally a superpower that if you possess the skills, any idea you have in your mind, you can create it, and then you can give it to people, and they can use it, and they can tell you how good it is, and you can feel good. And most of the time, you can get paid for that as well. So it is a perfect situation.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So on that note of go out there and use your superpowers and build things and be able to touch them and interact and share them, we will end this stream. So Daniel, it has been a great experience to go from you catching me stalking you on my stream to now being on it is a great turn of events. So I appreciate your time.
It's so much fun. Thank you for inviting me.
You are very welcome. Everyone that joined, thank you. This will be on YouTube in the live tab on Roadmaps YouTube. And Nate, if you're still here, I assume this will potentially be saved and accessible on X. I'm not sure if you've built that yet. I know you're building the entire streaming experience right now. That's what it'll be. Cool.